Is this yours?
Well, it's actually belongs to Larry, but he tried to.
If you could just take it to the back for a minute, because we're gonna go through a bunch of resolutions first, and then we'll. Yeah, I guess. It's yeah, it didn't look too bad. Thank you.
Sorry, Laura. Oh, no.
Okay, move to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jackie's here. We were in executive session to interview two candidates for part-time police and a candidate for the WEC. I'm gonna go into resolutions real quick, and then we have a presentation from the railroad club. Be it resolved to accept minutes for meetings held on May 20th, 2025 and June 10th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are some corrections to the minutes
Oh, yeah.
that I'd like to make, and I'll just send those.
Email them to the board and to Jackie.
Yeah, I've got corrections.
Okay.
Email them. All in favor?
So should we wait till we say it or?
I with correction.
Yes, I have corrections.
Be it resolved to accept the town clerk's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved to authorize payment of vouchers in the amount of $581,104.42.
Second.
Discussion,
Yes.
I was puzzled about one of the vouchers. It was voucher number 108309 for $247.50. It was to Wapner, Koplovitz, and Fooder costs. And I'm curious about, is there an open order to remedy on the Canigliaro property, and why are we involved in talking about that?
No.
What's going on there?
The order resolved.
So there is no open order to remedy?
No. So do you have a question about the bill itself?
Yeah, then what did they solve it? Were they the ones that solved this?
Yes, he had a conversation with Dennis.
Okay, then, I think I'd like to call him and talk. Can we just place this one on the table until I have more information about it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to second that.
Okay. We'll pull that voucher for the rest of them. All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to accept the retirement of Brian Chase as Deputy Highway Superintendent, Foreman, and Heavy Equipment Operator effective June 30th, 2025, and be it further resolved to thank Brian Chase for his 33 years of service.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Brian.
Donald's, please convey to Brian our deepest gratitude.
Absolutely.
Be it resolved to hire Sean White as part-time police officer effective June 17th, 2025, an hourly rate of $29.13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to hire Maria DiStefano as part-time police officer effective June 17th, 2025, an hourly rate $29.13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved to hire Dean Robert Leonard, wow, that's a mouthful, Jr. as a full-time seasonal help for the highway department at grade 1.5 at $21.16 per hour effective June 18th, 2025, and ending August 30th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And be it resolved to hire Peyton Koth as full-time seasonal help for the highway department grade 1.5 at $21.16 per hour starting June 18th, 2025, and ending August 30th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And both those young guys were with us last year. They both were with us last year. Excellent. Be resolved to establish the highway garage improvement capital H02401.1.103 Further resolved, transfer from the balance of the highway. Radio antenna replacement capital. 0.102, approximately $8,327 plus or minus to the highway garage improvement capital. 0.103, and further resolved, transfer $340,000 from the unrestricted fund balance. The general fund of the general fund to the highway capital improvements. 103,
Second discussion.
discuss.
Yeah, I originally had asked that we, put this, on the table and I spoke with Donald Allen, who's here tonight, and I was super glad to have him, explain and offer to show me everything that needed repair and, what the plans that he had for these kinds of things were and how these have been things that he wanted to get done as soon as he had taken office, and I appreciate the time that you took to do that. I just wanted to call that out. I'm definitely in favor.
Okay, and just, we have Donald in the audience.
Yeah,
Anyone have specific questions?
I appreciate that he shared that with Bennett, and Bennett shared that with me as well.
Excellent.
and discussion. So in speaking with Donald, one of the things that came up is this is gonna help fix a fraction of what needs to be fixed there. So I would encourage that we get a full report and we lay out a plan for full resolution of all the issues that need to be repaired there.
Yeah,
Well, sorry.
yeah, and I agree with that too, because I know that Newell and I had met with you about the time of the 2025 budget. And I know you had laid out a lot of different things that needed to be addressed. So hopefully, I agree with Newell, it'd be good for us to see what the list looks like, what this money in particular will be going towards. And as Newell says, what's left, so it'd be great to keep us all informed of how things are going with what's.
Because each time I spend money, I gotta come back in front of the board.
Yeah, this only set, just a reminder, this only creates the capital to fund any repairs. Everything's gotta go out to bid. And that would come back and we would have to approve it before any
Okay,
money.
so they'll go through the town board.
Yes.
Yes.
I think what's important is to know if we've got $800,000 of repairs and we're moving 340,000
I
over.
said 800,000.
But hypothetically speaking.
Well, do we have an estimate?
I'm hoping this capital's here long after I'm gone. You know, the highway department, that building between the salt and the amount of work that was on there, that building needs a lot of upkeep. It's probably the biggest investment this town has. And it's gonna need a little help year after year after year. And I think this is a starting place. I would hope to see every year at budget time that the board would add a little bit to that capital. So every year, there's gonna be things that wear out. And you know, there's big toys there and everything costs a lot of money. So starting this capital is a very smart move, I
Yeah.
believe.
Well, so do we have a prioritized list from you so that we know that we're working off the priority list?
Mhm. I actually, that was an email that I sent you
Okay.
about how I wanted at some time to bring in somebody to be able to do that. But from my point of view, there's no secret the roof of that building has had problems. The
Right.
town board has fought with it, they put money in it, but it needs some help right now. And I think it could be very expensive. And my discussions with Bill, you know, and with Vernier and Larios is working on that.
So the roof would be kind of the top
I
priority.
believe that is the top.
Top priority, okay, sounds right to me.
Separately, there was another invoice for highway for geothermal. Is that something that's now resolved? Is that an ongoing issue?
We've done a lot of work on it. We had a problem this winter. You know, Bill has been working with actually the engineer that designed it. And from Canada, we've had him down and they've worked out a lot of the problems.
Okay,
Again, you know, that's an expensive system, but it's a clean system. You know, we've been working with the solar.
so was that a yes? Sorry, is geothermal now working?
Well, then we don't need the heat now, but it was working for the last part of the winter.
Okay,
So parts of it have been working all along.
okay,
The compressors only have a life of about 8 or 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So 3 of them are at their 3 of them have expired and were replaced. The new ones did not for some reason mesh up with the other ones, and the old one was the one that was working at 100% efficiency.
That was a rude education, to both Bill and I, that, you know, I believe they had a little more of a life, but they don't.
No, nothing does
Okay,
anymore.
and that came out of the general fund as well,
Yeah.
separate from this
Yeah.
340.
Well, geothermal has a lot of farms. I mean, it has the piping underneath the
Yeah.
ground, it has the compressors in the building.
Mhm.
So yeah, some things do have a lifespan, some things will last for a long time, and other things,
Correct.
as you say, you need to plan, just like I have mini splits at home. 15 years, mine just was done. I have a mini split, so.
Yeah, well, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to hire Max Henry Grand Staff as a part-time recreation aide effective June 17, 2025, at an hourly rate of $20.13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved to authorize the supervisor to sign the Fifth Amendment to the AT&T lease cell tower and whereas leasing of public property is subject to permissive referendum as it relates to Article 7 of the New York State Town Law, be it further resolved, town clerk is directed to place the following notice in the official newspaper of the town on June 17, 2025. The Woodstock Town Board adopted resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the Fifth Amendment to the AT&T lease for the cell tower. This resolution subject to permissive referendum pursuant to the provisions of Article 7 of New York State Town Law by order of the Woodstock Town Board.
Second,
And so this is amending the lease AT&T has with us. There's no monetary considerations here. They're not expanding their footprints. They have a certain area that's theirs that they're leasing, and what they need to do. And this, I know the public will be very happy, at least the AT&T public. They're gonna put in a generator. And one of the things, every time the power goes out, Verizon works, T-Mobile works, AT&T goes down. And so this is gonna alleviate that.
So you're gonna be signing the Fifth Amendment, not taking it, right?
Might you go with that, you never know.
good.
You never know, but I won't be signing it because of the case. All in favor?
Aye.
It resolved to appoint Pam Panzer to the Environmental Commission, term to expire 12/31/25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we
Okay,
do a fence thing.
Wait, when does the term end? When does the term end?
2025 is what we have.
2025, so the
Yeah.
end of this year. Okay, and then what? Then again? if you
Next
stay
year,
on-
next year.
It will be up in Jan.
That's the term.
The other ones were the same term as well?
I think there were two that were 26 and the rest were all 25.
Yeah, they're standard. Yeah, are we gonna be able to accept that?
No, I didn't have all the information.
Oh, right.
We'll have it next time. Okay. Where's the train people? Ernie?
Yep. Thank you. My name is Ernie Hunt. I'm head of the Casco Mountain Railroad. And as you probably know, we've been requesting an extension of our tracks from Stony Hollow to Basin Road. Been discussed over the year with the county, which is an ongoing process. What we did a couple months ago, we made a presentation to the town of Hurley, going through what we're planning to do at Basin Road, and we thought it was appropriate to come in and make the same or similar presentation to you all, so you can ask questions about what we're doing. You can hear it firsthand from us. And the presentation, again, is very similar to what we presented to the town board in Hurley in April. So I'll try to get through it as quick as I can, and then you can answer any questions that you might have. The station is going to be located at the intersection of Xena Road / Basin Road and 28. It's diagonally opposite of Stewart's, but it does not contain the site that has the proposed gas station. That's inset from this. The site is owned by FAI LLC, who are the same folks that own the office complex just south of it, along Basin Road. And we've entered into a lease with the homeowner, with the property owner. And we're going to build this station as part of the project once the county approves the extension to build a station and build a terminal for the Casco Mountain Railroad, which is about would be our western extension. The terminus would be would allow us to bring our tourists, we bring about 50,000 tourists a year to Ulster County. It would allow some or all of them to come up to this area. And we would have the tourists do two things at this location. One would be to, of course, detrain and either go to the Ashokan Rail Trail, which is adjacent to the site, which they could walk, they could rent a bike, they could, get water. Most importantly, it has indoor bathrooms. I'll go into more detail about that later. Or they can take another option, which we've added this year, which is to take a trolley bus that would take our passengers to various businesses in West Hurley, or of course up in Woodstock. And that's probably the part that you all will find most interesting. I have a couple pictures of the station from a few perspectives here. And you can see from your the handout that I've given you. And the one here is actually quite good because it shows you the perspective from 28. And again, where I have all the trees here is where that gas station is. This gives you a little sense of where the former gas station is at. This is Basin Road. This is 28. This will be the proposed station site. This is the bridge that goes over from the Ashokan Rail Trail. And sewers would be something like that.
So is that all trees today?
Well, it's a combination of trees there, and then of course you see the ugly gas station.
That's the old gas station, that's there, Rudy Bumbo's gas station.
Right, but I thought I heard you say you weren't looking at the gas station property,
No, but it's only the property that's around the gas station.
which would be all trees.
No, gas station property, I think it's before the planning board.
Yeah, I know you all been talking about it.
Yeah, okay,
And right now it's a sort of overgrown site with an abandoned building on it.
okay.
But the site that we're looking at has nothing on it at this time. And has actually never been developed at all, to our knowledge. So the next page just goes through the main points that, and this, by the way, shows our trolley bus that we're proposing to put there, which is, again, the same trolley bus that's up in Tannersville. I live in Tannersville. We have the Cattersville trolley, which has been introduced in the last 2-3 years, which takes people from Palinville up to Tannersville, mainly to get them stop them from walking on 23A. But it's a great concept. I talked with the owner of that service, and he's willing to expand his authority to include Woodstock and West Hurley if we go this route. This is the series of points that I'm going through, just summarized. And again, another issue too is that this is a stoplight, as you know, is at that location. We think it's a safer entrance to the trail than the one that's over in Hurley, because you have the stoplight there and you have a protected entrance. You would have to go to Basin Road in order to enter the site. You could exit going towards Kingston, but not going the other direction, which we believe is safer. And again, the station is going to be paid for by the Catskill Mountain Railroad, New York State DOT, and the local property owner. And all the increased property and sales taxes will accrue to the town of Woodstock for the site. The combination of the train and trolley, we think, will also reduce traffic congestion on Route 28 and the village of Woodstock. Now, this just gives you a map of where we're going to extend the railroad. Again, it goes from Stony Hollow. The road ends at this point. This 1.7 mile section is the ones being discussed with the county right now about the extension of the railroad. And this train station will be right at this point, as you can see, down Woodstock, just right in here. And it's something that if we go through with the site, we'll be definitely going through the planning board here in Woodstock.
Oh, so tell me again, so how far does the train come today? You said the red.
Yeah.
The train already is there today, or the train, that's where you might extend?
Yeah, it goes to Stony Hollow. We sort of just end in the woods here. And we think that the best location for a permanent station and terminal is up here.
Okay.
Now, there has been discussion about having one in Stony Hollow. We don't think that's a practical site. And it's just not that close to the trail anyway.
Okay.
But we think this is the best site. And the property owner that we have a 15-year lease with is very much in favor of this.
Okay, and so if you catch the train, this is the train you might catch from Kingston?
Yep.
From the Kingston Plaza, which is you're saying comes out to Stony Hollow and then just goes back again, and you're saying you're hoping it can go that, how many miles is that for the
It's an extra 1.7 miles.
1.7?
It's just under 5 miles right now to where it goes in Stony Hollow. And one of the problems we have is the train doesn't really go anywhere. It just goes up in the woods and comes back.
Right,
You know, we could take 400 people on a train, and it doesn't really go anywhere. So this would allow it to actually go somewhere and be used for again, this is not for commuter rail service. This is for bringing tourists from Kingston up here so they can get off and actually spend money up here. Because when we added the bus concept, we realized that just having somebody come to the station and take the trail doesn't mean they're going to spend money in Hurley or Woodstock. The bus is what allows them to get off and actually come to Woodstock and spend money in Woodstock. And from what I understand, you've got a lot of parking and, well, at least whatever I've been at Woodstock in the summer, it's pretty congested. So hopefully this might be something that might alleviate some of those problems. And Hurley, one of the people that, oh, sorry.
No, I just have a quick question for you, because I've done the train
Yeah.
up and where
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just backs up and goes back the other way. So if you go all the way up to the trail,
Mhm.
you pay your rate to get up to the trail, you get off, you do the trail,
Yeah.
are you gonna be able to get back on that train to go back?
Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a shuttle service during the peak times, in the summer, where the train would go every 2 hours up there. So that, for instance, you could, let's say, take a 9 o'clock train and get off here. You could go to Woodstock or take the trail and come back at, the 3 o'clock or the 5 o'clock.
So that would be your outgoing and then your return trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're planning to put bikes on, bike racks on the train. So, we do advocate that a parallel trail be built all the way to Kingston. But this would allow, until that's built, would allow people to take their bikes, from West Hurley or from the site down to Kingston on the train. And again, the bus service in Tannersville, they charge $5 one way for the bus, $10 round trip. We would probably do something like that, or be included with the ticket. But anybody could actually stop here, and one of the Hurley residents said, "I think I would just like to stop here and park in your parking lot and just take the bus up there." And I said, "Well, it's fine if you want to do that. I mean, that's perfectly fine." So it's again, it's it is hopefully something that might help you all with some issues you may have with parking in here. But this gives you the overall view of what we're trying to do in terms of this. Hey,
So do you have a map, because you got the Ashokan Rail Trail?
Yeah.
So you're the railroad,
Mhm.
there are the rail trail people in the Empire State Trail.
Mhm.
So do you have a map, like, can you overlay where they want to be compared to where you want to be, so we can see, are all the needs getting met, or is one needs getting met at the expense of the other?
Well, as you know, the Empire State Rail Trail goes to Kingston right now. And it's I guess there's a Midtown Trail that comes up to Westbrook Lane that's existing. And from there, it's there's a gap, and then there's the O&W Trail that goes from Washington Avenue to the Thruway. But except for that, it's there is no trail from Kingston to Basin Road. And the people who would like to have that connected, have been advocating that for a long time. We took on the position 10 years ago of putting a trail besides the railroad tracks. And now there's a lot of discussion about whether that's possible or feasible, what the cost is going to be. That's going out to the county right now. And the county is actually they're going to hire an independent consultant to try to get to the bottom of what the numbers are going to be for that. It's basically, the equation is that the additional cost of building railroad trail over trail only is going to be X. The economic, development and impact of having the site here and what it does for the economy is going to be Y. And the cost, the benefit is going to be Y over X. And the question is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 20? Is it going to be 1? The county's going to try to come up with those numbers. Because again, we have our numbers, other people have different numbers. It's been hard for the legislators to get their hands around, what is accurate. So they are planning to hire an independent consultant to sift through that right now.
So who in the county is your contact? Who's gonna drive the county decision?
Well, there's a committee, there's two committees that have been involved in this in the county, both have been headed by Jeff Collins. There's a UT Corridor Committee, and then there's a Housing and Transportation Committee. Peter Criswell has gotten pretty involved at the head of the legislature. So he's sort of taking the bull by the horns right now. County Executive's Office has been pretty much letting the legislature handle this. So it's going through a process. And again, you know, we think that it's our belief that you can do railroad trail. You know, there's other people that believe that it's too expensive, but it all depends on the economic benefits of this site. You know, that's what drives the equation. And again, we think that it will add a lot to the economy locally. And we have a lot of, you can see references to things on our website that have a lot of detail on that.
Yeah. But I guess I thought the county had a department of, like tourism.
Yes,
And I would think that there would be a department, you got the legislators. I guess I would have thought there was doesn't the county have a department of transportation, doesn't have a department of tourism? I guess I would have thought there would be a standing department within the county
Mhm.
that would be your primary contacts.
well, the plan is, we officially report to the DPW, the Public Works Commissioner, Brendan Masterson. But you know, he's really a pass through to the county executive's office and also the planning department. We do have a very good relationship with the tourism office. It's headed by Lisa Berger. She made a presentation in January. And you know, she pretty much said that the trail, the railroad, and rail explorers are all, you know, vital to the tourism economy. So it's something where I think everybody wants to keep them all. The question is how much of which do they want to do? And that's what they're trying to sort out right now. But we believe, you know, for us and for what we think our business will do, this is the best option to go to West Hurley, or it's actually Woodstock. But to build a station here. And, you know, we do have a lot of cooperation from the property owner as well.
Quick question.
Yeah,
The property is located in Woodstock, right?
yes, that's right.
And that's why the taxes would accrue to Woodstock,
Yeah.
right? But it's called the West Hurley Woodstock Station.
Yeah.
Is that because it used to be the West Hurley Station? Is that
Well,
what
it's interesting, the old train station was actually located 1,000 feet west of here, just across the border in West Hurley. It was called the West Hurley train station.
Right.
But when they tore it down, supposedly the West Hurley sign fell off and underneath it said Woodstock. So it's kind of right in the kind of gray zone between Woodstock and West.
Well, so I mean, it's, for me, as a town board member, I know exactly where this is.
Mhm.
It's in Woodstock. I
Yeah.
would think that it's the Woodstock Station. I mean, I'm actually just asking you to think about, why not put a sign up that says like, you know, formerly known as the West Hurley
Yep.
Station, like they do so many places along the Ashokan Reservoir.
Now we can do,
To actually be a part of the history
Yeah.
by reflecting it in the way that it's being reflected. I mean, I think it would be the Woodstock Station, and I think that you should have a sign that says why West Hurley was called this station. What you just said was very interesting, and I think that's what people are interested in coming for, so please think about making that.
no, that's a great suggestion, and
Suggested change.
it's, I suspect if we're going to the Woodstock Planning Board, the Woodstock Planning Board is going to probably say we should make it the Woodstock Station. So, but we'll see how that, we'll see what happens when hopefully when that happens. But anyway, this is a good overview for everything. And a little bit about us, I'm just going to go through briefly. You know, we were formed in 1982 as the operator for the Ulster County portion of the Ulster Delaware right of way. We had a lease that until 2016 for the entire quarter. After that, we bid on the section that goes from Kingston to Stony Hollow, which we felt was the best, you know, in terms of where we could really do the most. And in our Polar Express trains operate at Kingston, and that's really that's been a huge moneymaker for the railroad. So we selected to stay in Kingston and operate that section. As you know, the Ashokan Rail Trail took over the part along the Ashokan Reservoir. Rail Explorers runs from Boyceville to Phoenicia. But we, just so you know who we are, we are a New York Railroad Corporation. We are a stockholder corporation, but we operate really like a cooperative. I mean, we have 60 stockholders, we're employee owned. And we really haven't generated, dividends, but people have put money in over the years as equity. But it's really been a cooperative venture, some really wonderful, hardworking people that have worked on the railroad over the last, 40 years. I joined in 2006. Harry been there since 1983, so he's been there from the very beginning. But it's a unique group of people and a unique organization.
Does the county have any idea when they think there may be some decision on their ends?
I don't know, the last meeting, they decided to go this route as this independent consultant. They're gonna do an RFQ, so they gotta write the RFQ, they gotta do it, so
Like that's a big, okay.
it's gonna take a few months for this to happen, I think. And just so you know, we had 60,000 visitors last year. 85% of our visitors, our riders are tourists, basically from outside of Ulster County. And we employ four full-time staff, 35 part-time, 90 seasonal staff, mostly Kingston High School students for Polar. And we had a payroll over 570,000 in 2024 and revenues of 2 million.
So I have another question.
Yeah.
So in that 1.7 miles that
Yeah.
you'd be adding, is the track already there? You're
Yeah.
just looking to put the station?
Yeah.
So the train, so how come the train doesn't go, it goes 5 miles, this is another 1.7, how come the train doesn't just go to why doesn't it go 6.7 miles today?
Well,
if the track's there?
several years ago, before the trail was built and before we had extended up to Stony Hollow, the committee decided to postpone a decision on what to do with this segment.
The county committee.
Yeah, and now that the trail is built right up to one end, the train's up to the other end, it came time to make a decision about what to do, and that's what we've been doing over the last, year, discussing it. And we've made presentations and some other presentations. And again, our policy is that the railroad should be extended there, but we also believe that the trail should be run parallel to the
Yeah,
tracks.
so my point of confusion though, so if the tracks are there, you're just not allowed to drive one. It's not like you need to repair the tracks. The tracks are there, you could drive one, you're just not allowed to.
Well, we have to, all the ties are rotted, have to be replaced. It'll take us about a year to do
So you
that.
would have to do repairs, so the
Yeah.
track isn't just ready to go, it's
No,
infrastructure wise, it would need work.
but it's because it's in place, it's much easier to go about the repair process than if it wasn't in place at all. So the rail is fine. I mean, it's 100 years old, but it's perfectly fine. And again, last year we bought about $100,000 worth of track tie installation equipment to really pick up our pace of doing things so we could do this extension. And we would have this in service in basically 1 year. It's a fairly routine process to replace ties. We could get up there in 1 year. As you know, if it's railroad trail, that will take longer because it has to be designed. We have a little bit of a section on that, but we believe the railroad can be used to actually make the trail, to make it cheaper to build the trail. There's a couple tight spots that are controversial along there, and I'll go through a couple of those later. But that's what the county's trying to decide right now. But it's been our policy and our belief that it can be done. Again, the station is, as I said before, we're going to run a rail shuttle service during the peak of the summer, probably Memorial Day at least through Labor Day, on a 2-hour turnaround. We'll connect with the trolley bus service, and again, we think that the access is a better access site to the trail than the one that's currently there. And I mentioned earlier about the property taxes.
So not to be, I mean, I live here and everything, what are the West Hurley businesses? I know where Hurley Hannaford is, but what are the West Hurley businesses?
It's basically the Reservoir Inn, Santa Fe, that's, it says it's in Woodstock, but it's not.
Yeah. the rest of them.
And so.
Just like that train station.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, no, there's Woodstock and they say they're West Hurley.
that's right. But we could run, if those businesses wanted to be connected to this, we could run the trolley over there on the way up to Woodstock. It's not that much of a diversion. And, and again, on the rail service, we'll have a car dedicated to, transporting bikes. Let's see. Let me do this, okay. And, all right, am I going backwards or something?
No, you're going forwards.
All right, now I'm going forwards, okay. So the other thing we've added is this trolley service, and again, it's based on the trolley service that that's been run up in Tannersville. And we thought it was a way to get people from the train to businesses in Woodstock. Again, as you come up there, you can have the choice. You can rent a bike or just walk on the trail, and some people will do that. But other people may, want to go to Woodstock, and we've also been thinking about actually calling the train the Woodstock Express. Well,
Go, Ben.
Yeah, quick study.
So, this definitely might be something more of a sell than, other
Yeah,
names.
yeah.
Let's put it that way. So, but anyway, it's really worked well, and, we know the economics of how it works. It's something that we can do. Harry has done this before, in his business. We can work with, Ryan Chadwick, who runs it up in Tannersville. And I think it's something that could really be done down here and be a great adjunct to what we do at the railroad. And we're in the transportation business, so this is something that we can add to it that essentially it's a reason for Woodstock to, want to be part of this project. Because otherwise, it's 10 minutes away and it may not affect Woodstock.
Would it be possible for somebody, say they wanted to go from Woodstock and get to the plaza? I mean, you're talking about getting the plaza to Woodstock and going back to the
You can do it
plaza,
that way around.
but somebody might want to go from Woodstock and take
Yep.
your trolley and get themselves to the.
Yeah.
Hanford.
And one thing that we've, on the next page is that these trolleys can be, you can put bike racks in them, and you can also have, they can have handicap access as well. So in theory, you could also get your bike from Woodstock to the Ashokan Rail Trail instead of having to take 375 or Zeno Road, which looked to me to be pretty dangerous places to ride a bike. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've never done it, so I
That's a
don't know.
topic that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic, but this would be a way to do it if people wanted to use this service. And again, these trolleys are they're really quite nice. They're made by a company called the Molly Trolley Company in Maine, so they're U.S. built, and they're really quite handsome. And just as we mentioned, the Reservoir Inn, Maverick Concert Hall, Hotel Dillon, Santa Fe Mexican Restaurant, those are the ones that, and if there is going to be a West Hurley commercial district, it would be stop there. The Dunkin' Donuts doesn't count since they don't allow anybody to park there. And again, this is this is a potential route. It could be changed, but it would allow some of the tourists to come up to Woodstock, and basically leave their cars at either the parking lot here or the parking lot in Kingston. So it's something I think it could be beneficial to Woodstock. And again, this is a little more detailed about the station. One of the interesting things about this is that indoor bathrooms are pretty important to this design. And the reason is that it's also good for the Ashokan Rail Trail because they only have porta potties right now. But it also allows us to put both the Ashokan Rail Trail and train the railroad on the attraction sides for the thruway. You have to have indoor bathrooms in order to qualify for that. And also, people who are coming from out of town really need, indoor bathrooms. If they're going to be coming there. They have kids. They got to use the bathroom. It's I think it means that more people from outside, we think, will use the Ashokan Rail Trail because of this facility that will be on the edge of it. And again, we put a ticket office there for the Casco Mountain Railroad, but again, it would be retail, office use, and indoor bathrooms. And retail would be basically bike rental. We've already been approached by somebody who's interested in this. could be, concessions. Anything more than that we'd have to see, but I think those could be easily done at this site.
Or you don't have an actual site in Woodstock in mind.
Oh, this is it, this is the site.
That's the corner of 375.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
station.
28
Yeah.
Mason Road.
Oh, yeah,
No, in Woodstock,
no,
for the trolley.
yeah, we would probably go to certain local businesses, that's what they do in Tannersville. They have to be able to take the trolley, in order to load and unload, has to be off the highway. So you have to come into a parking lot or somewhere that's indented, and they found various places in Tannersville to do it. I mean, I would love to go to the station. I mean, that would be, I don't know if they would be interested in that, but
The potholes are too big right now.
I think it could be a little tough, but we would pick certain businesses who would like to be stops. And they would just have to provide a place for the bus to pull off and load and unload passengers.
Well, the trailways bus stops.
They can't.
I mean, I don't know if we would have to, this is something we would have to work with. If it's on the highway itself, we have to work with the highway people and the town. If it's in somebody's business, I guess it's different, but we would be working with the town on all this stuff.
There's a limited number of spots between Rock City Road parking lot, Upper Como, Lower Como parking lot. I mean, there's a lot of places they could come in and turn around.
Yeah, we have town parking lots.
Yeah, and so we'd have to go find the ones that make the most sense. But I mean, it's not, walking isn't a crime. I mean, you can walk a certain amount of distance, but you want to find efficient locations, because if the bus stops too much, it's too slow. So we would come and find, 3 or 4 locations that would probably be good for the bus to stop. And again, it would be pretty interesting if it stopped at the station, but I haven't asked them that. As you said, the potholes are a little big there. That's it. And again, this is just a little more details. We also did get a grant from New York State DOT to develop the site. And that grant is contingent on the county providing the extension. So but DOT did award us some funds from a railroads focus program to do this.
So tell me what those 2 boxes on the sides are. I see your picture has a 2-story in the middle of that building. So are those 2 boxes, one of them the upper story?
Right here, Laura.
Those are bathrooms.
This would be the platform side where the trains would be.
Oh, I see. Those are the 2 things on the end.
Those are the men's and women's bathrooms.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting way to incorporate the station, but basically, you're gonna have, bathrooms on this end, bathrooms on this end, and you'd have a covered area. And, you also can do events here too, which is kind of interesting. Because you will have all the electrical hookups for events. You can do a lot of things in this location. There's a lot of covered area, in case of raining or something like that. You'll have, proper electric. You'll have indoor bathrooms on both sides. And you have 3 or 4 rooms, maybe something upstairs that can be rented out for retail, small office space. You see tourism could have a small office there.
There's a trailhead in Voorheesville on the old D&H Trail, and one of the things they have there is security cameras everywhere. And they also have Wi-Fi.
Larry, this is my presentation. So anyway, let's go to the next one here. And just so you see, these are the historical stations. Woodstock did actually have a station at one time, which is pictured here. It was about half a mile west of where the West Hurley station was located. And it was torn down. The West Hurley one, that's the one that was taken down in '67, and the remains of it, it was all just pushed into the basement. So the whole station is actually there. It's just collapsed into a hole. So if you go look carefully, it's still there. And then the one down at the bottom left is the one that was here. It was West Hurley and the original West Hurley. Going in, before the
now under the, and families still don't like that where they live is under the Ashokan Reservoir, but
oh yes,
here we go.
it is what it is. So again, we do a few things on sustainability. We do believe that the trolley service will reduce traffic congestion. Taking the train also will reduce traffic congestion. We also recently converted one of our locomotives to 100% biodiesel. We have an older locomotive, which is one that has it's an historic locomotive, so it doesn't have pollution controls. The biodiesel cuts that down by about half. We also got a grant for 2.3 million to convert the engine to modern emission standards. So we will be kicking that in once this project gets off, and that will give us, get us down to something that's a modern diesel locomotive. A few points about railroad trail. I don't want to go into too much about it, but again, we believe that the best option for the county is to extend the railroad to this location and extend the trail alongside down to Kingston. The county legislature is in the process of sorting out the details of that right now, which hopefully by the end of the year will be resolved. We have our own engineer and our information. We will contribute that to the consultant, as will the other side, and hopefully they'll come up with something that works for everybody. But that's going to probably take a few more months to do. In our numbers, we believe that the return on investment is really high, but that's again, it's produced by us, so we'll see what the county comes up with on that.
But then you still have to go to the Woodstock Planning Board, because
Oh, yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah, no, this is going to have it's zoned neighborhood commercial, and but still you're going to need to go through the planning board. It's an unusual use. I mean, technically this does meet that, but it is not your standard neighborhood commercial. So we anticipate it's going to have to go through the planning board. But again, it does fulfill the uses of office and retail and bathrooms, which is what neighborhood commercial would basically need. It looks like a train station, but really it's basically a retail, office, and bathrooms. So this is just a conclusion. Again, I'll just run through this quickly. We believe that the extension of service for our train and also for the trail to and the bus will greatly benefit the residents of Woodstock. The reduced parking congestion in Woodstock, encourage tourists to use the train and the trolley instead of their cars. We believe it will also benefit local residents, as I mentioned earlier, don't want to worry about parking in Woodstock because they can come and park at our train station if they want to and take the bus up there. And again, sales taxes and property taxes would accrue to Woodstock, and which I think in Hurley they were not too happy about that, but that's the way it goes. That's where the station will be. And again, we think we can get this running within 1 year for the railroad, getting it extended up there, and 2 years for the trolley service, because we'll need to, we have to do a certain amount of we have to go to the planning board, obviously, so that will take whatever time that takes. The trail only plans are going to take time because it depends on federal funds, and it will be several years. We can get this up and running, at least the railroad part of it, within a year. And then the rest of it will depend upon the Woodstock Planning Board. So anyway, that's my presentation.
Okay.
I just
Questions from Paul?
just want to give you all a chance to ask me questions about it firsthand. And
Any questions?
Yeah, let's say a passenger does not use the train. Are they able to just pay a fare for the trolley? That make a difference.
yeah, because again, in Tanglewood, it's $5 one way, $10 round trip. We try something like that. If people are coming up with the train, it'll be included in their train ticket. So, but no, there's no reason that anybody couldn't just take the trolley. It's just open to the public.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I remember when my time did the ribbon cutting for the rail trail, we talked about the importance of connecting to the walkway over the Hudson. So in order to do both rail and trail, you would actually have to widen the burn. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there a cost estimate for that?
Well, we have ours that you put together. I think there's some cost estimates for the rail side. It's the reference fund. If you look at the reference for this, it's all in there. And we have a plan. There's a narrow spot that's going to require, we believe, a walkway that's parallel. But the engineer that the county will hire will make the final determination about it. But we believe it can be done. You know, the question is, can it be done? We think it can be done. Can it be done for a cost that is within the realm of is it affordable, given the economic development and benefits you have? You know, again, what's the cost benefit ratio of this? You know, at some point, the cost of the trail might get so large that there isn't a cost benefit. But we think that there is, we think it's positive, and but that's gonna be determined by the plan.
And would the trains run in the evening, because I noticed that both the Reservoir and Santa Fe don't open until 4 or 5 o'clock.
Well, we typically right now don't operate much at night except during Polar Express. You know, in the summer, we would sort of look at the same hours as the trail, you know, it's open from from
Dawn to dusk.
daylight, dawn to dusk. We could add more if there was demand, you know, it really depends on what those property owners would like and what the demand is. But, you know, we would be servicing both the people who want to take the trail and people who want to go to restaurants. And again, you know, when is the traffic the worst? That's probably what we would be targeting, you know, in Woodstock. And when would people be using the trail the most? We would be targeting that. Trolley up in Tannerville is Labor Day, it's on weekends, and then it's every day, July and August. You know, we would have some schedule like that depending upon, you know, where we thought the demands were for this particular service in this area.
Thanks.
Any other questions from the audience?
I just wondered how much you'd have to widen the berm just for the rail only if you did what you hope to do, which is to separate the trail and put it down below.
Well, we think that there's two ways of doing that. We've discussed, you were at the early presentation, so we went through this. You can either widen the berm by lowering it, or you can just put a parallel walkway and not widen the berm at all. The engineer that's hired by the county will make the determination what's the most practical.
I guess my question was, if you had a parallel walkway.
Mhm.
Would you still need to, I mean, the berm there's about 2,000 feet, that's about 13 feet wide. Could you operate a tourist train on that without widening it or taking it down?
Yes, you have the parallel walkway, you wouldn't need to widen it at all. So it depends on which method you use, or you may use a combination of the two. But
So
again,
there are
that's,
national standards that require a wider sort of emergency egress.
again, this is what the county can be working on with their consultant. And again, I mean, you know what our position is on, it's on our website. People have a different position, we'll try to determine that through this consultant the county has.
Okay, Ernie, thank you very much.
Right.
Keep us posted.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Public hearing, Jackie?
I haven't got anybody signed up.
Anybody want to chat for 3 minutes?
I think Kevin Smith.
I don't have nothing to say.
I'm gonna say, thank you,
I will reserve comment.
thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Good meeting, guys.
Yeah.